All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is a Thursday night. No, Wednesday night, actually.
Wednesday
Yeah,
night.
I always get that mixed up. We always end up changing it between Wednesday and Thursday, but it's a little after 8:30, just about 8:45 here. Welcome to Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy. Jesus Christ. Here on Fans Only Sports Network. I am your host, Chet, and to my right is my counterpart, Duffy. As always, how we doing, man? I know finals just wrapped up for you guys, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir. Finals is wrapping up. It was really fire, man. It's going to be out and about, enjoying the last week in this area and Narragansett, school free. So it's really good.
Hey,
time,
at least until the fall. At least until the fall.
Yeah, man. I mean, the fall is going to be, yeah. I mean, I have summer classes too. So, I mean, a little break in between. So it's nice. It's really nice. And being back in the fall, I'm going to be excited for. We have another nice crib next year. We're, student rental, so I'm excited for it, man. Very excited.
Yeah. And
I love going to school, bro. I actually love college for real.
That's good.
One of the first times in my life I can say that I like school is college. I got the nice Bobby Boucher jersey right now, the Water Boy.
I was going to ask what jersey you were wearing because when you came on pre-show, I was like, is that a Denver Broncos jersey? I'm confused. Like, why are you wearing a Broncos?
No.
But yeah, no, definitely enjoy the weather, dude, because the next 3 days is going to be in the 80s.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited, man. I have to wear the tank tops out, show off my hairy shoulders a little bit. And yes.
Oh, my God. But all right, jumping into the first segment of the show right out of the gate, we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. As of right now, we'll start with the Boston Celtics. They are live right now playing the Milwaukee Bucks in game 5, Score now is 73-68 with 3:11 left in the third quarter. And, I mean, we kind of have to talk about the last game where Al Horford dropped 30 points in a winning effort where the Celtics took down the Milwaukee Bucks 116-106.
Yeah, it was a must-win game, going down 3-1 against
108.
2-2.
Yeah, that was the correction.
It's a big difference, going on 3 against 2-2, and Celtics must-win game, and they were down for a lot of the game, too, in that game 4. And, fourth quarter, like you said, Al Horford, man, 16 points in the fourth quarter, 6 of 6 from the field. He was on fire, multiple three-pointers. He dunked on Giannis, too. And it was a great game. And Celtics, a big must-win game, team win too. Tatum had, I think, 30 points also himself in his own right. And, it was a must-win game. And come back to Boston for game 5 tonight. Like you just said, Chet, it's a 5-point game right now in the third quarter. And I think that's where we're going at a little fast pace right now so we can watch that fourth quarter. But it's that wasn't passive aggressive, by the way. I'm just saying.
No, I know. I want to watch it too. Trust me.
We'll have a few topics tonight, but good game tonight. Game 5. The winner of a 2-2 series in Game 5 in the NBA playoffs wins 82% of the time. So this is a must-win game for the Celtics at home. They got to capitalize here because these next 2 games, if they go Milwaukee down 3-2, the next game will be tough. And Boston had a big lead tonight. They were up, I think, at least a dozen points in this game tonight. So they got to close it out. And, get to Milwaukee up 3-2. And, these 2 teams have played in the playoffs 2 of the last 4 years. And I think the road team has won 1 game in those series. It was the Celtics in game 1 of 2019. And, we've seen a couple of real wins in this series so far. Celtics on Monday night, and the Bucks in game 1. So, I hope, as a Celtics fan, that they can win this game and go Milwaukee and win Game 6. But I fully anticipate it's going to a Game 7. I really do. I think it's 7 games.
Yeah, I mean, if the Celtics manage to edge out tonight, it would be shocking if they managed to take down Milwaukee in Game 6. Likely, as you've said, I agree with you. I think the series will return to Boston for a final game. But you never know. But another thing that I saw on ESPN today, which I figured I'd bring to the table, is this was something they pointed out with this series. Some people were asking, or even just saying, they think that out of all the teams in the Eastern Conference, they're in the semis right now, one of these 2 teams will be the ones representing the Eastern Conference going into the finals.
Yeah. I think that this series, bro, I mean, the winner of this series will be the winner of Miami and Philly. And Miami, number 1 seed, we can't underestimate them. They're a very deep team. They have a lot of stuff off the bench. They have a good starting 5 too. But the Celtics, if they play Miami during a 7-game series with how hot the seas have been the last few months, I mean, I'll take the Celtics too. I'll take the Bucks over Miami too because I think the Bucks, obviously they're defending champions. they have the best player in the league, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they could beat anybody. And I think this is the Bucks' biggest challenge is Boston.
Yeah.
Without what the Celtics have been, they finished the year at an unbelievable rate, winning I think 80% of their games or something like that. So Miami, I mean, they're a good team. Philly's a really good team too. They have a really good big four in Harden, Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Tobias Harris. But it's Philadelphia in the playoffs. I mean, they're pretty inconsistent. They're not that clutch.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people are kind of pointing the finger at. And I mean, a lot of people were pointing the finger at James Harden in Philly's loss from the other night. How you could see in the replays, like he was kind of taking shots that really he wasn't going to make, and then sometimes like he just tried to do too much himself. Yeah,
well, I mean, Harden, he's been taking a lot of heat too, like you said, getting the finger pointing him a lot for not being the same Harden we've known for the last 4 or 5 years, but 30 points in Game 4 is how the series. He had a tough night last night in Miami. And I think when it comes to the Sixers, they're a team that it's going to win games at home. They got Embiid back. I mean, sure, he broke his face earlier in the series in the Game 6 against Toronto. Has a broken bone in his face. But I think
he's wearing that mask now.
Wearing the mask now, yeah. So I think with the Sixers, I think they're a really good team. They have better big name players than Miami, but Miami's such a deep squad, and I think they're gonna end up hosting or having the right to home court advantage for the Eastern Conference Finals. But I think the Bucks or Celtics have both given at least 6-7 games. I think either of these teams, Milwaukee or Boston, could beat Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals and go to the NBA Finals. So yeah, Chad, I do agree. I think this really is the real Eastern Conference Finals right here, Milwaukee and Boston. I think these are the two best teams in the Eastern Conference right now. And just because they have more star power, and Milwaukee too. I mean, this is a team with Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday. But when you have the best player in the league and Giannis Antetokounmpo, I mean, tough to beat that squad. And I don't see Miami beating that team. I think Boston could, and the transitive property tells me Boston's going to beat Miami too, if that's the case. So maybe I'm biased, but it'll be Boston.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the one thing when it comes down with the Miami Heat, I know this season the Boston Celtics they've always known, even throughout the team's history, in at least the last decade or so, they've always struggled against the Miami Heat. And even this season, we saw that really be a precedent on their season, is just getting the monkey off their back with this team. And quick score update from the Celtics game with 15 seconds left in the third. The score sits at now the game, we're going into the fourth quarter. Score sits at 86-77, Celtics leading the Bucks. So that's something to
hear.
Yeah, that's good to hear right off the rip. Now, before we head into the NFL, I kind of wanted to give some light to the Western Conference, obviously, Duffy, because, that's something we got to highlight too a bit.
I mean, Warriors are up 3-1 over the Grizzlies. Ja Morant's out for the rest of the series, but probably, most likely, did not play last night in Game 4. So should be Warriors, easy W. Warriors in 5, probably. And the Suns. I mean, last night, Phoenix and Dallas. Phoenix with a 30-point victory, 110-80 in their favor at home in Game 5. And the home team has won every game this series, which is not peculiar. I think in the NBA playoffs, home court advantage means the most out of any sport.
Huge.
Home field advantage, at least. Interchangeable term, but I think that Phoenix takes this one. Probably I may win the next game too. Probably they're the best team in the league, the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah,
and I'm going to see a Suns Warriors Western Conference Finals, and that's going to be a star power event. That's going to go to 7 games. I think it's going to be a hell of a series. But Grizzlies season's probably done. I mean, they lost Ja Morant with the knee injury. He's out for the rest of the series, most likely, or he's doubtful for the remainder of the playoffs. So you know what that means. Probably not going to play down 3-1.
Absolutely.
So, Warriors, Suns, that is my WCF prediction. And I think it's going to come pretty true, honestly. It's a pretty Mickey prediction, 5 games in, 4 games in. But, I'm going to take that as the verdict.
That's a fair verdict right there. I mean, just based on the way the series is going. I mean, I see Golden State going to the Western Conference Finals. And then Phoenix, once again, Phoenix, honestly, they haven't skipped a beat since last season, and it looks like they're not gonna give up anytime soon the way they've been playing. Time will tell. They're still 2 more games left in that series total. So we'll see how
And
things
that
pan
they
out.
play tonight too. That Warriors Grizzlies game that is tonight, and let's see if the Warriors wrap it up on the road in Memphis.
The deciding factor right there. So right now
Yeah.
you have the predictions. You have Celtics going up against Miami, and then Golden State going up against Phoenix. We'll see next week if that pans out to be.
Tell you what, Memphis though, very deep team. They have a lot of good players in the team without John Morant. They led for pretty much the whole game against the Warriors in Game 4. Could have been 2-2 right now, but they blew a 12-point fourth quarter lead. It was very tough for them, without their best player in John Morant. But that Grizzlies team in the future, the next 10 years, if they keep this core intact, and this could be the best team in the league in a few years. But I don't think it's their year this year. And tonight we're going to get that final determination if Golden State wins, and if not, we'll live another day, and hopefully it'll come true next time we talk on this show. But I don't think it's their year, but without another best player right now.
Yeah, exactly. And it definitely comes down to having the whole team, not just one player on the team. But obviously in basketball, the story's different. So you definitely need those key stars in order to win championships. So that concludes our thoughts here on the NBA playoffs. Now shifting over into the NFL, because the NFL schedule is just about to come out, and there's a lot of good games that the NFL has already teased and released. And I think right now, Duffy, we got to give our top 3 games. So I'll pass the baton to you right off the rip.
So number 1 game I want to bring up, a couple months ago it wouldn't have been the number 1 game, but now it is, in my opinion, and that is the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson on the road. They're gonna play in Seattle this year, a revenge game. I love me some revenge games, and NFL, man, as we know, not a lot of good quarterback movement ever, really. These sort of quarterbacks usually stay with their team that they're on, and this last offseason we see a lot of QB movement highlighted by Russell Wilson on the Denver Broncos, and that game I think it'll be early on in the year a little bit, probably like week 4 maybe in Seattle on SNF. That's the one game I got on the year so far, man. Broncos, Seahawks. Game's gonna be lit, dude. It's gonna be great. So I love revenge games, bro. I love them.
That's definitely a great revenge game right there. I think for me, starting at number 3, the first game I got circled is going to be the Green Bay Packers at the Dallas Cowboys. That's going to be on November 19th, and that is definitely
scheduled, huh? Some of them got leaked. That one got leaked. I saw that today.
Yeah, that's a big one right there, because you're talking about Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott finally going up against each other in a great setting in Dallas. And then on top of that, Dallas without Amari Cooper as he got traded, Devontae Adams no longer with the Packers. These are 2 totally different football teams. Honestly, they might be pretty close to each other in terms of talent. I mean, I would probably give the edge in the wide receiver core to the Dallas Cowboys in terms of Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb still being there. But you got Aaron Rodgers if you're the Green Bay Packers, and 2 solid defenses coming into the affair. I think we're going to see I don't know, I wouldn't say a shootout. I would probably say some type of really defensive game in terms of the way these 2 quarterbacks play, but it's going to come down to who can thread the needle the best. And, Aaron Rodgers is that gunslinger you need.
You're looking at the Packers too. I mean, they've kind of transitioned to more of a defensive team the last few years. I mean, they have a lot of guys on defense now. And losing Devontae Adams, this could be a lower scoring game. And, 2 of the most popular teams in American football, big pop culture game for all the bandwagons. A lot of guys like these 2 teams. They don't really know football. And always good match between the Cowboys and Packers. And in Dallas, too, I think if it's in Lambeau, different story. And you're going to pick the Packers no matter what. But if it's in Dallas, different story. You got to think about it a little bit. Really close game. Last times they played in Dallas came down to an Aaron Rodgers game-winning drive, in 2016 postseason and 2017. So I think it's going to be a really good game. In that game, that's a really good game you got going there, Chet.
Yeah. So at number 2, Duffy, who you got?
Number 2, man. Rematch of last year's AFC divisional round. The Buffalo Bills at KC. I mean, these are the 2 best QBs in the league, in my opinion. Besides Tom Brady, I'm not even going to count Brady. Okay, I'm done with him. And Rodgers, we're not counting them. The 2 best QBs in the league besides those 2 are these 2 right here. Josh Allen Patrick Mahomes, a rematch of last year's playoff game, which is one of the best games I've ever watched in my life.
Oh yeah, hands down.
It's going to be in KC this year, and I think Josh Allen is really a front runner for MVP, and I think this would be another game that they have earlier in the year. With these two teams, trying to cement a kind of tiebreak early on in the season. Two elite teams, the two best teams in the AFC, without a doubt, in my opinion. And too early to tell who's going to win that game, but it's gonna be a must-watch game. It's gonna be probably on Sunday Night Football or that late CBS primetime slot with Vance and Romo. So everyone's gonna be watching that game. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, like you said, you knocked it right out of the park with talking about previewing it as, the two top quarterbacks in the NFL coming together, because that's literally what this is. This matchup is going to be monumental, just like what we saw in the divisional round, because that game was just absolutely insane. And the fans want more of that. And that's the perfect way to schedule it out, is to have these two teams meet again in a similar matchup that we'll probably see in the postseason this year again, but in the regular season, an early tease. And it'll be a fun one to watch. It's tough to see, obviously, right now who will take the edge, but it's going to be an exciting game to look at. So now for my number 2 spot, I'm going to pick a Kansas City Chiefs game, but it's going to be a Super Bowl rematch against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay against Tom Brady. I think that's going to be my number 2 game right there, because, you just look at Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, already faced each other in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and now they're going at it all over again. But this time the Chiefs, a little bit different. No Tyreek Hill. You still got Travis Kelce, and now you got Juju Smith-Schuster coming into the mix. For Brady, you still got basically the same team that you ran with for the last 2 years. And, regardless, you're talking about, once again, 2 of the best quarterbacks, not just in the league, but potentially all time. Really, in Brady's case, absolutely all time, but in Mahomes' case, future.
You can't even say it's an overstatement, because he really is one of the best ever, Mahomes. And I love him. I'm always talking Mahomes because we've done this show, and he is one of the best to ever do it, without a doubt. Despite only being going to year 5, and he's already in my eyes a top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. So. All right, Duff. Let's hear your number 1. Your number 1.
Number 1 was really the Broncos Seahawks. We went the wrong way, in my opinion. I know it was my fault.
Oh, well, that's a good pick, regardless.
I'm gonna give you another game. I like Packers Bills for the same reason. It's kind of like Bills Chiefs.
Yes,
this team's gonna be in Buffalo. 2 really good teams. And I think in a way, Josh Allen is kind of like the new Rodgers. The do-it-all athletic quarterback who can scramble. He can throw the ball off of any angle, and he has a strong arm. And I think this is the first time they played against each other since Josh Allen's maybe one of his first career starts in his rookie year in 2018. It was in Lambeau. This is a different Bills team, different Packers team, and this would be one of the best games of the year. And 2 heavyweight squads going at it, and 2 elite quarterbacks, 2 MVP caliber quarterbacks. Another one of those games where, when we look at the MVP race later in the year, it's going to be one of those games that comes down to it as a kind of like a tiebreaker type of thing. And, Rodgers, he's won the last 2 MVPs. I don't think he's going to win again this year, obviously, because he's already won 2 in a row. But Josh Allen, I think he's the Vegas front runner right now. This would be a huge win for them if they're able to beat the Green Bay Packers at home in whatever week they're playing in, because Josh Allen, man, against A-Rod, this good matchup. We haven't seen a matchup like this with 2 quarterbacks like these 2. And this game is going to be very elite. I love these interconference games, these once every 4 years type of games. It's going to be one of them. So I'm very excited to see how it goes.
Absolutely. Now that brings me to my number 1 pick. And Duffy, you already mentioned this, but the number 1 game, once again, to repeat what you just said, is the Buffalo Bills going to the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead, because you have to circle it. You have to. It was the greatest game of the postseason that I've seen in a long time. And just, it was the best one from last year. That should have been technically the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Just the way that game was played.
Definitely the real AFC Championship, or we can't say that because the Chiefs lost the next week. But it kind of was, in my opinion. Those are the 2 best teams in the conference, and next year it's going to be a huge game for tiebreaker reasons, and it was this past year too with the Bills winning. early on in the year, but they were still a game behind the Chiefs. So they didn't get the tiebreaker, but this is the two best teams in the conference.
Yeah,
And
and I mean, we
only
don't. Mm-hmm. And the thing is I think with that game, I don't see yet I don't think they leaked a date yet for that game, or they didn't release it yet. So that game hasn't been leaked yet. But I don't know when exactly it's going to happen. But if it happens at a turning point in the season, honestly, I might give it to the Bills, because I mean, I like the Chiefs, but I think the Bills have really stocked up this offseason with talent to the point where they're like, we don't want to be number 2 anymore. We want to be number 1. That's what we want.
Everyone 2 years in a row, though. That's the real question. I don't know about that. It's a tough task to do.
Yeah, but it sets the table. Basically, what I'm saying is for that tiebreaker for the AFC champion, well, just the playoffs itself. And I might give the Bills to start the year the number 1 seed.
I think I will too. I mean, I think they're the better team, especially with the Chiefs losing Tyreek Hill. Bills, I mean, they just got to win the games they got to win, because they lost. Every game they won last year was by at least 12 points. That's a crazy stat. Every game they lost was, most of them were one possession games. So Bills going to be able to close out games better, because they could have been 14-3 in the number 1 seed and been a Super Bowl contender for real last year. But they lost a lot of close games, a lot of games they shouldn't have lost. They can just close out these games this year and fix their errors. I think they're for sure have the potential to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this upcoming season. And it starts with this game against the Chiefs, because the Chiefs, different team, they got worse in the offseason. This is the game where you're like, this is why we're the best team in the AFC. That's why the NFL has put this game early on in the season, so that everyone who's a fan of the league can see that. The changing in passing the throne in the AFC, the Chiefs to the Bills, and the Chiefs have made the last 4 AFC championships. Bills have made 1 and lost bad to the Chiefs. But, this past year, I mean, the Bills 13 seconds away from going to the AFC championship and hosting that against the Bengals. And probably I think the Bills would have won the game against the Bengals in the AFC championship. They would have. I mean, the Chiefs sold. They sold. But
they did.
The Bills, I mean, they're just a more complete team, and it starts with that game, Bills Chiefs, and probably like week 5 maybe. And I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, quick score update before we head into the final segment. With 8:42 left in the fourth quarter, 96-85 Boston. Now 96-87 Boston. So hopefully we will be able to wrap before the end of the fourth quarter. We should be able to. But moving into the final segment, Major League Baseball still underway as we are in the month of May, beginning of the month, almost at the midway point. Red Sox really have struggled in the homestand, only winning 1 of their 6 games they hosted at home against the LA Angels and the Chicago White Sox. Lost 5 in a row. Finally got a win last night on the road, 9-4 against the Atlanta Braves in a 2-game set. They have 1 more game tonight. Top of the 6th inning, runners on second and third, score 3-3 with 1 out in that one. So kind of looking at the Red Sox right now, same problems as I've said before. Pitching sucks. Bats suck. So the only way for them to really get going as of this point is they need to hit, because the pitching's not going to save them at the end of the day.
Yeah, only a few runs each of the last few games, and they lost 5 of their last 6 contests. This Boston team, last place in the AL East, looking bad right now. And I just think it's just with that lineup, that pitching lineup, not good pitching, like you said, Chet. Like a lot of runs by this Red Sox team. And, this squad was projected to be atop the AL East. And, we're behind the Orioles right now in the standing. Yeah. Pretty sad. It
is pretty sad. So, because right now, I mean, like you said, looking at the standings, it's atrocious. And the Red Sox, I mean, they have the lineup to do it. But if they can't really turn it around this year, Xander Bogaerts has already basically proven to the team that he will probably not stay in the long run. So it kind of comes down to, is the team going to have to sell come the All-Star break? We still have until July till that happens, but Xander Bogaerts clearly showing some discomfort being under the contract he is now. The Red Sox clearly have mentioned they don't want to pay him, which really gets me upset because then it's back to the whole ordeal a few years ago when Mookie Betts got traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers because they didn't want to pay him. Just pay the guy. He's easily top 5 at his position at shortstop, and you're not going to pay him. Just doesn't make sense.
That's just Boston sports for you, man. I mean, we don't really pay anyone, which sucks. But hey, no championships recently, and we're getting kind of sick of it from all these Boston sports squads. It's been 4 years now.
Just about.
The last chip was the Patriots against the Rams. It's 3 years right now.
It's been a big drought for the city, and it's
senior year. Nothing since I've been in high school, bro. It's crazy.
Nothing since my first year at URI. My first year.
That was your first year? Was my senior year of high school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a while, so it has been a minute.
It has been a minute, dude. I really had to sit back and think about that. The Red Sox have always been an organization, though, where they really get it together for like 1 year, and then all of a sudden the next year it's just nothing. There's really no consistency with it.
It's just been the Red Sox, man.
So before we head off, we'll give you a quick look at the rest of the league in the MLB. Yankees at the top of the division and the MLB itself sitting at 22-8. Tampa Bay Rays right behind them.
Wins championships, baby.
26, I believe, is the number.
27.
There you go. So their Rays are in second, followed by the Blue Jays, then the Orioles, then the Boston Red Sox in last place. Twins lead in the Central. The White Sox are hot in their trail, followed by the Cleveland Guardians. Detroit Tigers and Kansas City Royals don't mean anything, really. And then you look over at the the West in the AL West. Angels. LA Angels boasting second best record in the AL at 21-11. Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout looking unbelievable this season. And then the Houston Astros finally a battle back on an 8-game win streak to get within 1 game of first behind LA. Mariners have really fallen from grace these last few weeks. They're 2-8 in their last 10. The Rangers and the Oakland Athletics have finally fallen to bottom of the totem pole in the West. And now looking at the National League, starting with the NL East, Mets leading by a landslide right now, up by 7 games up against the Miami Marlins, the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Atlanta Braves. Nationals bottom of the division at 10-21, 11 games behind.
Mets are different, bro. They're a different team, bro. They're a good squad.
When you boast a starting lineup in terms of pitching from Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom, and deGrom isn't even back yet, it's unbelievable. The pitching's just there.
When he comes back, the team's going to be crazy. They should be the favorite coming out of the NL this season, or one of the top 3 at least.
Definitely one of. Because I still think the front runner for the NL is without a doubt the Los Angeles Dodgers. Unfortunately,
as you are, man, because money wins championship in baseball. That's why it's the most Mickey league in the nation right now.
It truly is. Then you look at the NL Central, Milwaukee Brewers leading at 20-12. Cardinals right behind 2.5 games out, followed by the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Chicago Cubs, and the team with the worst record in the league at 7-24, the Cincinnati Reds. They are
poverty
12.
franchise.
Yeah, it's just a poverty franchise, unfortunately. They looked good a couple of years ago, but now just bottom tier team, mid. And then you look over at the NL West. Dodgers in first place, followed by the San Diego Padres. Giants have battled back after going on a skid. They've won 5 games in a row. They sit at third, 2 games out. Diamondbacks and Rockies both have fallen down in the division. So that's where we're looking at right now in the month of May for the MLB. And that's going to do it for us tonight.
The NL West is nice. The NL West is nice. Every team's over 500. It's a good division right there.
It's definitely one of the toughest divisions in baseball, but I think as of right now, the AL East is still pretty safe to say the toughest division in baseball once again. There's just so much talent. Besides, I mean, the Red Sox definitely have the talent. They just need to put it together because, I mean, the Orioles, they're getting better. I knew they'd be a lot better this season, but they're not going to do much. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they're mid. They'll fall down off a cliff eventually.
Eventually.
Sure.
Any last thoughts, Duffy, before we get out of here?
Hey man, go Pats! That's really it, baby.
That's all I got to say.
Comes out tomorrow. The Pats got a lot of good games on their schedule. I'm excited to see how many primetime games they get the number 6 seed in the playoffs. I'm very excited.
Yeah, we'll absolutely talk about the Patriots' upcoming schedule when that is released. But until next time, thank you all for tuning into Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy. This is Chet signing off, and we will catch you all next week. Thank you all for tuning in. And as always, as Duffy just mentioned, go Pats.
Peace.